Ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we're going to run through all things training. I'm training at a brand new gym with a brand new program using some brand new kit, and it is a whole lot of fun. So let's rip into this. My name is Elijah Satroni. I lost over 20 kilos to step onto a bodybuilding stage. I have coached hundreds of people to achieve health and fitness success, as well as athletes of all disciplines to competitive greatness in their sport. And speaking to my own athletic journey, we are about 4 weeks post-prep, and training load during that time was quite high, and I was slightly burnt out from how much time I spent in the gym. The fact that I wasn't progressing as well, a lot of what I was doing was what I would refer to as defensive lifting. So just trying to make sure that I didn't lose performance. I was always able to match. And that, on top of the low energy, made it really hard some days to train. I was not eager at all to get into the gym. Okay, I was in the gym 7 days a week. I was doing 5 resistance training days. So that was an upper lower and then push legs pull. Following that, I also had 2 cardio days. I inevitably moved to doing ruck walks. I would do 2 60-minute ruck walks during the week, and that was my formal cardio. Instead of doing something like a rower or a bike. I found that to be more attuned with who I am because I was outside walking, had a backpack to throw a podcast in. That for me was a lot more enjoyable. But from that, I was still pretty burnt out from training. So the first week of my recovery phase took a week off. And now we are moving from a 5-day program to a 4-day program. Okay, and this is optimized for maximum enjoyment. Because again, the thing that I was really struggling with coming out of prep was just enjoying my training, and I love to train. Okay, it's certainly a part of who I am. And even if there was a pill that could get me the body I wanted and I didn't have to pick up another weight ever again, I still believe I would train. At least I hope to believe that. Because I love the part of lifting. I love how it makes me feel. And again, it's all part of the experience. But getting back to it, running an upper lower split. So that goes upper, lower, rest, upper, rest, lower, rest. Okay, so I have an extra rest day in there. Reason being is I've been able to leverage antagonist paired sets to accumulate a bit more volume within those sessions. And I still have 1 cardio day on one of those rest days because health is important. And I want to just build up my work capacity, especially as I mentioned, doing antagonist paired sets does require a decent level of aerobic fitness. So as for the program itself, looking at my stage shots, I just need more muscle globally. A lot of the reasons why I sort of fell down the placing ladder is because I got out-muscled. It's as simple as that. So need to focus on just getting bigger globally. A lot more will be focused on my extremities, so my arms and my legs. Upper back second, with lats and chest sort of taking a bit of a back seat for the moment. And that ladder in a hierarchy in where I'm sort of allocating my volume is what sort of dictated exercise selection and what the program looked like. So that in mind, although I'm only training upper body twice a week, I'm training my delts and my arms 3 times a week. So doing 3 to 4 sets at the start of every leg session. The first leg session, I train my delts. The second leg session, I train my arms. So think of it as like the first 3 sessions, delts get trained. The first, third, and fourth session, my arms get trained. And so only training upper body twice a week, I believe warranted this experiment with volume allocation. And I find doing some arm or delt work prior to my leg sessions is a great warm-up and doesn't take away from my lower body training at all. And I've been enjoying this setup. Okay, I can get these sets done in between while I warm up for my primary lower body exercise. And it takes me about 10 minutes at the start. And again, I spoke about maximizing enjoyment. Who doesn't love to eat their dessert before they eat their dinner? Which in this point is doing some arm or some delt training prior to training legs. And a lot of the movements I've been doing are either cable-based or machine-based. which can bias the length and position of the tissues. Now, of course, starting on the reserve side of volume and slowly ramping things up as I progress through the program, just to ensure that I am adapting to the volume that I want to do and not just completely ripping myself a new one. So that's the plan there. And again, so far it's working out really well. The other place where I've chosen to allocate more volume is to my posterior chain. So I spoke about the upper back and the lats, but this essentially goes from my traps all the way down to my calves, sneaking in drop sets or rest pause sets really to get in that extra volume. And specifically like glutes, hams, and my traps are going to be getting this treatment. And so the way that I plan on getting close to 20 plus sets of volume in for my posterior chain is through things like rest pause sets. So say I do one straight set initially, and the following 2 sets I do as rest pause sets. Those rest pause sets that I do for my second and third straight set, at the end of my second and third straight set, I count as half sets each, which makes my 4 sets total, you could say. And it's just a great way to include some time efficient training within my week, as it means I'm not in the gym for 2.5 or 3 hours. I can get everything done within an hour and a half to 2 hours, which is phenomenal. As for the front chain, my quads, they are going to get some love for sure. I mentioned my legs do need to grow. So I'll be doing intensifiers for them in terms of, again, just some rest pause sets or potentially some drop sets. Not sure how that will go on the leg press. So the big thing there is taking everything essentially to 0 to 1 RIR and really, really rinsing it for what I can. Leg extensions, of course, are a great way to get more volume in, and they'll be the ones where I perform rest pause sets or drop sets or something that allows me to get more total volume in without adding too much time to my training sessions. And trialing this higher volume approach is certainly something I haven't done before. I've always adopted the minimal effective dose approach, and I'm going to choose to use, I mentioned antagonist paired sets before. So all that means is I'm going to do one movement. Let's talk about my upper body for a second. I'm pairing a chest movement with a back movement, and there is between 60 to 90 seconds rest between each movement. So let's say I do a chest press, I rest 90 seconds. I do a chest supported row, I rest 90 seconds before I go back to my chest press. And so I essentially get 3 to 4 minutes, essentially 4 minutes of rest between my chest press sets. But I get the extra volume of doing the back work in between. And so I'm very conscious of having a intra workout to ensure I can sustain a high level of effort while doing this. And so far, I haven't seen any sort of negative implications from it. So I'm going to keep rocking with it because, again, I'm having a lot of fun. And as long as I'm having fun, I'm going to keep doing it. Okay, and so that in mind, that extra capacity to do extra sets because my time in the gym has reduced is not something I've done before. And what I'm trying to experiment with is creep things up to find what my maximum recoverable volume is, given the approach that I'm taking. So that's everything really when it comes to the training side of things. 4 sessions a week, training my delts 3 times, training my arms 3 times a week, and having a crack at finding how much volume I can tolerate across my entire body. Now, I mentioned that while I am running a new program, it's also at a new gym, and that is Refined Performance at Rotherham Park in Western Sydney. And they have kit that goes from Prime to Atlantis to Nautilus, Olympus, M-Torture, Cybex, Citadel, Booty Builder, like all this really, really top level kit available, and it is a godsend. So, like, been playing around with cam settings and loading parameters for the Prime kit, and I'm sort of enjoying a 60-40 or 70-30 split, biasing the length and position, and I'm still running some OG barbell movements like a a stiff-legged deadlift and a Smith machine bent over row. but just experimenting with these 1%ers to see what kind of difference it does make and exploring again. While I am still in the recovery phase, I do want to embrace this path of expansion and leaving footsteps for other people to follow. So I'm going to have some fun with myself. I'm going to have some fun in the gym, experiment, play around with things I wouldn't otherwise typically, and see what happens. Because worst case scenario, it doesn't work, or it's basically the same as if I train with dumbbells or any other implement really. It's like, oh, cool. Well, now we know. And again, to be clear, this is what I'm choosing to do. Don't let me stop you from doing whatever you want. I love to train more than I love to compete. And I want to give back to the enjoyment that I get from training after spending the past 12 months focusing, hyper fixated on competing. And part of that, I believe, when it comes to doing what's optimal, is doing what you enjoy. That's part of the whole milieu that comes into training, for me at least. And I'm not going to break down my training days here other than what the program split looks like. I will put out separate videos running through each one. And our plan is now in place. So we're going to keep making minor tweaks here or there, maybe one or two more, but after that, things will be Gucci and we'll take it from there. So I'm looking forward to sharing my insights and my experience playing around with, well, different resistance profile settings, playing with different volume allocations, different intensifiers, things that allow me to do more or do things differently compared to how I otherwise have. And again, we'll see how things go. Okay, I'm going to choose to be my own little experiment, and I'm looking forward to sharing my insights and my discoveries with you all here. So if you like this, again, very short and sweet, don't forget to like, rate, subscribe. Comment any questions you have for me, things you'd love to see about my training and what that might look like, things you want to learn more about. But until then, I'll be here every single Friday. So take care, and I'll catch you all then.